most of you have seen on part 1 and 2. Here's part 3 of Gene Odom. Gene Odom was Ronnie Van Zant's right-hand man, who was the lead singer of Lynyrd Skynyrd. He's one of the surviving members of the Lynyrd Skynyrd plane crash. Went down almost 48 years ago, coming up. This will show in October, and we're at the end of September here. So October the 20th is the 48 year. And he's written a really interesting book. Let's spend a minute on your book and what it highlights. The new book. Gene has an older book. I mentioned on the last show, he's got an older book that talks about, when I say older, we'll never forget, right? We won't forget you.
Lynyrd Skynyrd, I'll never forget you.
I'll never forget you. But it's sold out. It's out of print, sold out. Those books on eBay bringing $500-600. Check it out if you don't believe me. I was stunned when I looked online. I thought, well, maybe I'll get one and read up a little bit. $600. And he signs a lot of these books, and he goes to the crash site in Mississippi. So you should check out, if you're going to be going through Mississippi, what's the name of that town? It's like
Galesburg.
Galesburg.
It's
Galesburg.
about 7 miles north of the Louisiana border on Highway 55.
You're there a lot of the time.
I go there a couple
Frequently.
times a month, yeah.
He sits up, he'll sign the books, got his T-shirts. Anyway, but if you happen to be down there on the weekend of October the 20th, you for sure will be there.
I will definitely be there.
And have you ever, I know the monument is there. That's what we're talking about, the monument. And there's signs on the highway and expressway directing you to that. Have you ever ventured back to where that actual crash site was?
A couple of years ago, yes.
Is that a weird sensation?
It was, yeah.
Anything left there?
No, that property was actually a family trust and divided into 4 parts.
I see.
And so the family member that had the actual property where the plane crashed, he sold his property to a rich guy in New Orleans, and that guy don't want anybody on the property.
Ah.
He's afraid that somebody get hurt, could sue him. You know, he's a rich guy out of New Orleans,
Yes.
and he don't want anybody back there. But it's just in the woods.
You wouldn't know it if you...
You wouldn't know it. You could
Yeah.
walk right by it, wouldn't know it, wouldn't see it. You know, it's not like it was way back there. Mother Nature took over. A lot of wild hogs in that area, and you wouldn't know it unless you knew exactly where the spot was.
Right. I saw a YouTube video where Easley, am I saying that name right?
Yeah, that's the guy that runs the monument. Yeah, his family owned the property, and the
But
brother.
he went by side-by-sides back in there, a couple of guys, with a couple of the first responders, I mean, which were farmers in the area. They're not really fire department or anything. They went to the crash site, right? But he went back there one day. But it's just a thicket in the middle of the woods across the creek.
The guy that owns the property will let Dwayne go back there because he knows that Dwayne ain't going to do nothing crazy, but he prefers nobody back there.
I get it.
And
but anyway, the monument site is there. They could see you, talk to you about it. You get the picture, so to speak, of where all this happened. And talk about, I mean, the various members. You knew all of them before this band was getting rolling. I just think it's interesting to see how we started talking about that, but how this all gels together as a band. Were you around for some of those practices and when they were?
Yeah, certainly early on. Yeah, they practiced. Gosh, before they got to Hale House, they practiced it. Started out in Bob Burns' garage, and Bob's family told him that they were just too noisy, loud, they needed to go. So they went around the corner to the then bass player Larry Junstrom's house in his living room.
And he dropped out. Why? He dropped out before anything really happened, didn't he?
Yeah, when Ronnie's brother Don Barnes and Jeff Carlisi decided to put a band together, which they called it 38 Special.
That's done pretty good too.
They done real good, yeah. And so Larry left Skynyrd to go play bass in 38 Special. But the reason he left the band to do that is he didn't like Ronnie's rough and rowdy ways. He didn't like the way Ronnie pressured him. You know, was a electronic guy, and he was smart, kind of a nerdy guy, but a good guy. And he didn't put up with all that rough and rowdy stuff, and so he went to 38 Special. And
did he stay with that band? Because I'd never heard that. He stayed with them?
oh yeah, he stayed with 38 Special till he died. He died of dementia, and of course he left the band briefly before he died, when his dementia got so bad he couldn't do it. But yeah, he stayed with 38 Special, all of their albums, all the way up through, till a couple of years ago when he passed away. He passed away right before Gary Rossington passed away.
Well, those guys were a little hard on themselves, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they sure
I
were.
don't want to get into all their shenanigans, but
Yeah.
you got any funny stories from the road with all that crew?
Oh, I could think of probably a couple.
You were Ronnie Van Zant's right hand man. In addition to that, he hired you as the security guy, but that you were far from being the security guy, I think. And
we were good buddies, good friends, fishing buddies, and above security, I was actually learning the business, looking over people's shoulders, because I convinced him that his management was stealing his money, a lot of his money, and he didn't know that. And pencil pushers and stuff, that's the people he talked about. I told him, I said, you talk about them, but you don't want to do nothing. And well, you're not a manager, you don't know. I said, listen, I'm honest enough and good enough that I can tell a man's robbing you. He just ain't using no gun. He's using a pencil. And I convinced him 2 nights before he died. Showed him on paper. I said, this is how they're stealing your money. I showed him basically with the T-shirts, and he couldn't believe it. I said, they are just, you don't even own your own
I mean, you're
T-shirt.
talking about T-shirt sales that could do $200,000 in a night.
Oh, man.
Huh? Is that right?
Right. Yeah, with the right crowd, right. You get, nowadays, if you get 20,000 people in there, and how you figured out who was going to buy a T-shirt back then was 1 in 3 is going to buy a T-shirt.
Really?
So if you got 3,000 people, that's 1,000 T-shirts. If you got 10,000 people, that's
Right.
7,000 T-shirts.
Right.
And now they're
Ain't-
$40 a piece.
Right. You don't have to sell too many T-shirts, do you?
Now they're $40 a piece, and you say that there's 20,000 people or 15,000 people. Say 10,000 people buy a shirt. What's 10 times 40?
Right. Right. There you go.
Merchandise.
Right.
Merchandising makes more money than the band makes. That's what I convinced him. I said, man, your merchandising makes more money than you make, and you don't even own your own merchandising. And I convinced him 2 nights before he died. He said, all right, do it, let's do it. You ready? I said, I'm ready. Got a legal team ready. Boom, and then he was dead,
It's incomprehensible, really. One story that I heard you tell was when you backed up, you made 90,000 people back up. Tell that story. It's a great story.
Oh, man, that was, well, that story ties into another story.
Okay.
Peter Frampton had just came out with his Frampton Comes Alive album. And so he was going to be a headliner, and skynyrd was a headliner. So they put 2 shows together. Day on the Green, San Francisco and Oakland, California, and San Francisco, or San Francisco's Oakland, L.A. Anyway, 2 shows, California.
Okay.
Day on the Green. One was on like the 2nd, and the other one was going to be the 5th, or the 3rd and the 5th.
2 cities.
2
Northern
cities.
California, Southern California.
Right. And in between those 2 shows was the Willie Nelson picnic in Tulsa. And so, let me see. The first one Lynyrd Skynyrd headlined. Peter Frampton opened up. It was co-headlining. About 100,000 people. Skynyrd stole, just kicked ass. And so the next show was the Willie Nelson Picnic. And then we come back to San Francisco, I think it was, for the second Peter Frampton Lynyrd Skynyrd show. But that show, Peter Frampton was the headliner. Skynyrd opened the second show. Peter Frampton headlined it. So Lynyrd Skynyrd played first. They played, and I was standing on the side of the stage, 97,000 people.
Wow.
When Ronnie Van Zant left the stage, I put on limousines, boom, they were gone. They were headed back to the hotel, and I didn't want to pile on top of anybody. So one of them was a small limousine. It was too crowded, so I'd wait for the limousine to come out to get me. I'm on stage there, and I'm looking at there thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people just leaving the stadium, and Peter Frampton was coming on. And I'm standing out there going, whoa, man, there's a lot of people leaving this thing. Thousands and thousands of people walked out. So Peter Frampton's road manager run back and told Peter to come out. People are leaving. So I'm standing there by the lighting tower, and Peter Frampton comes out and grabs a microphone. Hey, come back. I'm Peter Frampton. I'm the headliner. Come back. And people just storming out.
No.
And he goes, come back. Started teary-eyed. Come back. I'm the headliner. And he turned around and punched his road manager in the mouth and kicked his drum set over. And just then, the limousine pulled up. And I didn't want him or his people to see me because I'd had to whip all of them, I guess. So I just jumped in the limousine and hauled ass back to the hotel. But, oh, yeah, way over half of the people left.
Wow.
Because Skynyrd was gone. He's kicked the piss out of Peter Frampton. It was over.
But tell the story now. How does that tie into, because they wouldn't play an encore or something. What was that?
Willie Nelson.
What's that story? Oh, Willie Nelson.
We went to, in between those shows, we went to Willie Nelson's Picnic in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And so...
Who all played that?
Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings, Lynyrd Skynyrd, and there was a couple of smaller acts. I can't remember who it was. But instead of us taking our plane, they leased a plane. Willie Nelson's people leased a plane, big plane, to bring us to Tulsa, along with the Hells Angels, his security bunch. And the plane was full of Hells Angels. Man, and the dope was everywhere. Me and Ronnie were sitting together, He said, man.
Rough crew.
He said, do what you got to do. If you can't get our plane here, get us on a commercial flight. We ain't flying back with this bunch. All right, so I told the road manager, I said, can we get our plane back here? He said, probably we can I said, get them on the road. Get them up in the air right now, get them back here. So Skynyrd played, but Willie and Waylon didn't want Skynyrd to do the encore, Freebird. And so Skynyrd, there was about 100,000, close to 100,000 people. Skynyrd finished with Alabama. As soon as they finished Alabama, boom, I had them off the stage, the limousine, boom, they were gone. Back to the hotel. So the people were stomping, hollering, Freebird, Skynyrd, stomping. And Skynyrd didn't come out. They just kept hollering, Freebird, Skynyrd, boom, boom, boom. And then they got mad. And they tore the security gates down, the barricades down, run the Hells Angels off, tore the monitors down, tearing the front of the stage down. Everybody left. The promoter was gone. Everybody was gone.
Oh, that must be them now. So that's not how it happened. You okay?
I don't want to hear it. I want to let it go. I don't want to cut it off. Okay. I won't answer it. So, promote everybody hauled ass. People were calling up on stage, tore the monitors down, crawling on stage. I went out and grabbed a microphone, and I told the sound man, I said, give me some electricity here. He did, and I grabbed it. Hey, I said, hey, look here.
90,000 people you're talking to on the microphone. Hey, folks.
Yeah, 90,000 people. And I went, hey, I said, my name is Gene Odom. I'm Ronnie's bodyguard and security for the band. I said, the band's gone. I said, they are not here. You got my word on that. I said, they're at the back of the hotel. And they were, raising hell, screaming. And I said, hey, listen, I'm telling you the truth. I said, the band's back. I said, we wasn't contracted to do the encore. I said, I want you to know that. I said, that's why they didn't do an encore. Then they're gone. And I said, y'all need to calm down and stop this. I said, because you've done run everybody off. And I said, you need to let Willie and Willie come out and do their show. And so everybody started backing up, till it backed up. And they let the people come back, put the barricade up. They let the Hells Angels come back, security come back, and they put the monitors back.
Oh, my
And the
God.
promoter came up and he went, God, man, I ain't never seen that before. Never. I was scared to death. I hauled ass. I said, everybody was gone. I said, somebody had to do something,
That's great.
I didn't have no ride. My limousine was gone, so 97,000 people, I backed them up,
Hey, hey, man, I need a ride.
Yeah.
But
Great story there, buddy.
that is a great story. So the rest of that tour went well then? While we're on to that subject?
Yeah, that was
You were back to San Francisco then after
went
that.
back to San Francisco and did the second Peter Frampton show. And so,
But they're on a roll at this point.
oh yeah, on the roll. And the second show is where Peter Frampton opened up and got his ass kicked,
We were talking, I said I wanted to talk about the members in the band. One guy I'm interested in, and you don't hear that much about him, is Gaines.
Steve Gaines.
Steve Gaines, thank you. Got killed in the crash. He wasn't with the band that long, was he?
No,
So his sister was a backup singer. She's also got killed.
yeah, they played in. She kept telling Ronnie about her brother, and they played in Myrtle Beach. And Ronnie said, well, get him to come out to Myrtle Beach. I want to see what he looks like, what he sounds like. So Steve came out and played live on Myrtle Beach, and Ronnie went, listen to that old key. He went, man, he knew right then Steve Gaines was the man, He told me recording the album, Street Survivors album, but I was coming home from there. And he was doing a solo, and Alan and Gary were sitting there. And I told Alan and Gary, I said, that boy there's going to teach y'all something. Man, they didn't like that. Ronnie got me by the sleeve. Come on, out the front door. He said, man.
It sharpened their game up a little bit.
He said Steve Gaines was the best thing that ever happened to that band, And then I come home to do some work around Ronnie's house and stuff like that. While they were
He was a songwriter too. You don't hear much about his songwriting. You don't hear much about the guy at all, really.
This guy was a great songwriter, phenomenal singer, guitar player. Ronnie said he was the best thing that ever happened to that band.
Wow. And where did that's right. He came, his sister was how he got there.
Yeah, his sister kept telling Ronnie about Steve. She said, listen, you need to hear my brother, because Ronnie needed another guitar player. And Ronnie's particular about what musician would fit into that groove. And when he seen Steve play that guitar, and he said, this is it right
There you
here.
go, huh?
Man, I tell you what, if either one of them would have lived, they'd have kept that band going. Steve Gaines would have kept that band going, if he'd have lived.
And Ronnie seemed to have just the ability to write more than a song. He told a generation about Southern rock. To me, it was like, I guess they led the way, but it was Marshall Tucker. They played with him too, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
On the road with Marshall Tucker?
Steve Gaines?
No, the band.
Marshall Tucker opened up a couple shows for skynyrd, yeah.
They opened.
Yeah.
Well, who came first? I'm saying for skynyrd or Marshall Tucker? About the same time?
About the same time. I think Marshall Tucker might have been a band a little bit before, not before skynyrd
Played, yeah, but
formed a band, but before they made any success. I think Marshall Tucker had a little bit edge on him at that time, but not when Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah.
When Sweet Home Alabama came out, that was
That was it.
You know.
But it was Marshall Tucker, Allman Brothers. There was a group, the Outlaws, wasn't there?
The Outlaws, yeah.
They were good, but they didn't get any commercial success, I don't think.
Not really big. Ronnie heard about them, heard on them, and liked them. They opened up a show for skynyrd. And Ronnie,
And I'm not talking about the motorcycle gang. I'm
No.
talking about the band, right?
and Ronnie called a record label and said, hey, I think y'all need to talk to these outlaw guys, outlaw band. He said, they're good. So they sent some people down and they liked them. So they set up a deal to sign them to a contract. And at the meeting, Ronnie was invited to the meeting. and they signed the Outlaws to a record deal, and they wrote Ronnie a $25,000 finder's fee check for
Wow.
letting them know about the Outlaws. Ronnie just turned the check over and signed it, and give it to Henry Paul, and said, "Get y'all a new truck. Your truck looks like it needs some work. Buy a new truck." Ronnie gave Henry Paul his finder's fee check.
Good for him.
To the Outlaws, yeah. That's the kind of guy Ronnie was. Henry Paul never forgot that either.
Well, he shouldn't, should he?
Yeah.
I mean, what a class act.
Mm-hmm.
He was. I mean, when he sang "Simple Man," he was, wasn't he?
He was a simple man, yeah.
And proud of it.
Proud of it.
But isn't that what Southern rock was all about?
Yeah, basically, being a lot more simpler than most of your music, you know. And I'm not a songwriter or a musician. I mean, I'm not any of that. But it was the song "Simple Man," which was Gary actually came up with that lyric and did a lot of that writing. Him and Ronnie wrote that song, but Gary was the one that came up with the "Simple Man" to start with, about his mother, you know, talking stuff to him, you know.
So I started talking about members. I started out in this segment talking about members of the band, but I'm sure a lot of people know the story about of course, Bob Burns was the original drummer, and then he had all kinds of problems, didn't he? I mean,
Yeah.
the stress, was it stress that got him? I mean,
Well, I'm not a psychiatrist by no means, but Bob at early, but at the Hell House rehearsing and all that pressure and stress and stuff, and he was bad on mushroom tea, mushrooms, and so people don't know this, but they had just, it was 75. They had just opened the Buckman Bridge across from Orange Park to Mandarin. Then it was 2 lanes. That was it. There wasn't no emergency lanes. There wasn't nothing. It was just 2 lanes. Accidents all the time. With accidents, that thing was tied up forever. And Bob was messed up in the morning, early 4 o'clock in the morning, something like that. He was going across that bridge, and a Navy whack girl had got off work and was coming across the bridge. She was driving a little Jeep, and he passed her and clipped her fender and flipped her Jeep over, and it killed her.
wow.
And that got him right. I mean, that really bad. It upset him. Then they went to Japan, and I don't know why they got into Japan, into the drug situation, but he had a mind-altering nervous breakdown, mind-destroying nervous breakdown. I spent years in mental hospitals. Years in the mental hospital. And I got a call one day, and I nicknamed, about 1962, 62 or 61 or 2, I nicknamed him Horsehead in elementary school because his face was elongated. And I nicknamed him Horsehead.
Thanks a lot, Gene. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I got a phone call, and I picked it up, and I went, "Gene, it's Horsehead." And I went, "Bob."
Bob.
I said, "Bob, man, I ain't talked to you in 30 years. I said, "How you doing?" He said, "I'm doing great, man. They got me in medication. I'm doing great. They got me some real good medication. I'm doing fantastic. Fantastic." I said, "Cool, man." I said, what can I do? Help you?" He went, "Gene, Skynyrd owes me a lot of money, and I need some money." Right then it dawned on me, boom, when he left the band in 1975, he was a stockholder of Lynyrd Skynyrd Inc. Never sold out, never bought out. He said, "I need some money, Gene, and they owe me a lot of money." I said, "Tell you what, let me make a phone call, and I'll call you back." So I called my buddy lawyer, which grew up across the street from Bob Burns' family, was good friends with Bob Burns, Michael Basford. I called Michael. I said, "Michael, I just talked to Bob." And I said, "He's out of the hospital now." And I said, "He's doing pretty good. And Skynyrd owes him some money. Can you help him get some money?" He said, "Well, that's not my field, but let me make a call, and I'll call you right back." He called me back. He says, "Here, there's a guy's name and number. He'll take care of Bob." So I called the guy, and he said, "Hell yeah, give me Bob's number." So I called Bob, and I told Bob, here's the guy, here's the name and number, call him. He was talk. He's waiting on to talk to you. So he got with Skinner's people and MCA's people, and Bob started getting the money. So the lawyer called me and told me, I thank you, man. He said, I'm going to help Bob out. I'm doing this straight. He says, I contacted them, and I told him, I said, that boy's hurting for money. He said, I said, and you owe him a lot. I don't know how much yet. I got to dig to the bottom of all this. But I want send him some spending money. That boy needs some money bad, and I don't want you to hesitate. I want you to overnight him a check, and I better get record of it being overnighted, and he get it tomorrow, or we're going to have problems. So they sent Bob a check, some spending money. You know what the check was for? $500,000.
There you go. Well, that's some spending money.
That's some spending money.
Yeah.
Bob called me and told me, boy, yeah. So, but he had trouble. His illness, if he didn't on his medicine, you could tell that I could tell he wasn't on it.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's the perfect place to stop our third segment here.
Yeah.
So we'll stop with that, and we'll be back to talk about the conclusion of this story and a little bit more about Gene's book and perhaps a new project. We may announce a new project that he's going to look at, which is really bringing us up to speed on what has gone on.
Be
So
right
come
back.
back and see us next segment.